if people have this self-identity of I'm an intellectual person or I'm not, or I'm an emotional person or I'm not, I think they kind of, build that personality for themselves. And it's almost like they can't see out of it. So if someone in, a team or we talk about both employees and leaders, but let's just say, anyone notices that someone is very much like in a certain role. Other than kind of leading with empathy and doing some of the things you asked before, like, is there anything that you could suggest of like, okay, how do I get this person out of the box they're in and show them that they're more than just that one thing?
Yeah, a couple ways. I love that question. So one of the reasons that one of the things I love about executive coaching is that I remind people that they're a whole person. And so when people say, well, my intellect is the most important thing, I make decisions based on my intellect only, I'm a problem solver, none of this black and white stuff, but there's always black and white answers to everything. One of the things I always ask them is, well, how does that work? How is that working for you at home? How does that work for you with your kids? How does that work for you with your wife or husband? How are people you in close relationship reacting to that? And what I almost always find is people will say, oh my gosh, my husband tells me that too. Or, oh my gosh, my wife says this, is that I'm always a problem solver. I'm always looking at things from a numbers and figures perspective and trying to solve. And so I think when we look at them as a whole person, they might think that the intellect is what's most important at work. But in order to have good relationships outside of work, you have to be empathetic to the people who you're in relationship with. And so often when we make that connection about, who are you at home? Who are you with your friends? The light bulb will go off. So that's one way. The other way is something I know you're very familiar with, which is to think about somatic wisdom. So the wisdom of the body. Sometimes people who aren't in touch with their emotions can benefit from learning to pay attention to their body. So, for example, if you are an engineering leader, a finance leader, someone who's very into solving problems and your intellect, I encourage people to start to pay attention to what their body is doing. So, for example, if you go to give a presentation, do your palms get sweaty? Do you feel nervous and feel your fists start to clench? Do you have your heart flutter? These are your body's way of telling you you are feeling something. You are feeling something. Now let's try to put some words to what it is that you're feeling. Is it fear? Is it nervousness? You're intimidated? Is it excitement? So again, kind of this is where coaching is so fun, is looking at the person as a whole person. They have a mind, they have intellect, they have emotion, and they have physical sensations. With my clients, I tend to call it body signals. I know that in coaching, a lot of times we call it, embodiment, or we call it somatics, but I just think of, body signals. We all have it happen. When do you get nervous? When do you get afraid? And what happens to your body? So that's a second way. So the first way was check in with your family. What do they say about you? Check in with your body. And then the third way that I think is really powerful is using, I mentioned this earlier when I first started talking, is using emotional intelligence assessments. So sometimes for people who are really skewed to the intellectual numbers and facts and figures side, having something on a 130-point scale, which they can measure and look at the numbers and look at the graphs involved with it, helps them see for themselves how they're feeling when they might not even know that about themselves.